They told you to take your best silvers and your candlesticks and whatever you had and your best clothing.
And what happened when you got to Auschwitz?
Well, everything everything was taken away from us. We were just undressed and we just like you were born. There was nothing left. My name is Alexander Friedman. The name Friedman is spelled F-R-I-E-D-M-A-N. Before the Second World War, it was spelled with two N's. The trip that we took 2 years ago to Eastern Europe with my family, my wife, and 3 of our children, and my oldest grandson. Wherever we went, Aaron, that's my oldest son, and my grandson Ami, they dedicated a certain part of the Talmud to the people who passed away. I was born in 1929, November the 22nd, in Czechoslovakia. My great-grandfather, Rabbi Israel Ephraim Fischel Sofer, was a rabbi in the early 1900s. He collected many of the sermons that his father-in-law gave and put them into a book called Afseoretz. In the book, there is a copy of my great-grandfather's will, and he asked that we should get together at least once a year on his yahrzeit, which is the anniversary of his death, that the year shouldn't pass by that we should not get together. Also wie der Seite du geschrieben. Größte Sache.
Kann man suchen, man kennt sich nicht so, ich hab doch schon Schule. Man kann auch wieder kurz. Das ist doch keine Großmann zu geheißen. Der erste.
My father was a very strong man, and he was very much an involved man, and he ended up being the secretary of the Jewish community of our town. A lot of the things that inspired me, that my involvement, wherever I'm involved, is because of my father. My mother is in a class by itself. I think mothers and women had a much better intuition than men. I think mothers knew much more. I think mothers had the right ideas. The fathers were just too preoccupied with making a living. It's something that we said in Hebrew, that the mother is a foundation of the house. I had an older brother who was born in 1925. His name was Avrom Yaakov, and his name was Albert. And his nickname was Ali. We called him Ali. I miss him every day. I had a younger sister. Her name was Erna, and her Hebrew name was Rachel. Rachel. She was born in August 12th, in 1935. I remember the day very well. I remember only the best things. She was beautiful, and she was fun, and she was everything. It was all around like this. Here there was a factory. I lived in Košice until 1944, until, of course, when the Germans came and they took us away. Life was very comfortable to a certain extent. It was difficult. Nobody was very rich. We had no opportunities to learn a trade. It just did not exist. We used to make a ball from old socks we used to put in papers. It was like this, and there was one guy in the goalie and one guy in front of the goalie, and you threw the ball and it went like this. The most important thing that the children should have a good education. My brother, he was much more like my father. He was the best in school. He was the best in Hebrew school. He was a genius. My brother wrote down everything that he ever heard. In fact, when he went to Auschwitz, he went with his 2 valises with all the writings that he took with him. What you get in your younger years, that remains in you very strongly.
Stole it and paid the second one. It's the same thing here. You can't say the knas. Whenever you admit a knas, you don't pay. Omer.
Omer ganavti v'tafasti v'macharti.
Right, now you have to understand that the rule is if you steal something and then you stole it and then you slaughter it, or if you stole it and you sell it, the Torah says you're supposed to pay 4 times as much if it's an ox and 5 times as much. No, 5 times as much if it's an ox, 4 times as much if it's a... Right, lo katav.
Lo katav.
Therefore, is it chayav or is it...
Life changed around 1942. I mean, we knew already things that are happening in Poland, but nobody could believe the extent of how serious it would be. Somehow there was this feeling that to go away from here, it's you abandon everything, and it was something that always bothers me, that why we didn't look ahead. But then you cannot go backwards. As time went by, things got always a little bit more and more difficult. My mother said that we should run away even now if you have a chance. My father, he was just devastated. The Germans, when they came to my town, was 1944, I believe, in April. Their first aim was somehow to dehumanize us, you know. So the first thing they did, they picked on the president of the Jewish community, or they picked on a rabbi and they made him do some very menial work. They wanted to destroy your will, and basically they succeeded. The first restrictions that came is with wearing the stars and wearing the bands and closing all the stores. They closed up two of the longest streets and they made them as a ghetto. They put fences and they tried to put all the Jews into these two of the streets that were closed. Of course, once the ghetto was established, we almost did not go out on the street because my parents wouldn't let us out. Although we could go out, but sometimes you went out, you didn't come back, they just grabbed you. Unfortunately, this type of population that was, there was, some of the people had a lot of hatred for us. It was very difficult to run away from there and to hide. It was just simply difficult. You had to be very, very lucky to find. There were people who tried to help, but it was not easy. There were 3 transports that were taken away from our town. I was 14 years old. Part of the distance that we went to the train, we walked through the town. And when we walked through the town, a lot of the local people sort of cheered, and they were happy to see us go because they felt that they're going to inherit everything that we had, or everything that we had, little or a little bit more. They're going to move into our apartments and so forth. As I was walking, I had this feeling that I don't think I'll ever come back here again. I was hoping that I'll remain alive and my family will remain alive, and we end up somewhere where there are other Jews living in freedom. When we arrived to the railroad station, we saw the railroads. It's always freight cars, with sliding doors. Cattle cars, yeah, like we've seen described. What scared me most is the Germans had attack dogs, and there was constant barking. I remember my mother, she bought somewhere a salami. A salami was a big luxury there. She hung it up on the opening of the cattle cars. And I was so hungry. When you're very hungry, you have a longing to eat for sharp things. I was hungry. I said to my mother, let's have a little piece of this. I said, no, for a little bit later, maybe we need it for Shabbos, maybe we need it. Anyway, while we're sitting in a day or two till this damn train moved, I saw a dog jump on it and bite, Just things that they're forever embedded in you. The train was catastrophic. I grew up the day when we arrived in Auschwitz. My mother was a young woman. She looked very nice. She looked very, very youthful. The last time I saw her is really when my mother came out of the train. She was holding my sister. I saw her, and she took one